What a wild game one. The Lake Show just managing to get past the Golden State Warriors. Does this mean trouble for the Golden State Warriors, or are the troubles just beginning for the Lake Show? What's coming up in the series? Find out in the next edition of Sideline Sports Podcast. Welcome to Sideline Sports Podcast. If you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast. And welcome back to another episode of Sideline Sports Podcast. I am the host, Alex Naveja. If you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast. If you guys are enjoying the content we're throwing out there on YouTube, we're also on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook. Make sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms. We're throwing content out, you guys. We've got polls. I want to hear about you guys' predictions on the NBA playoffs. I want to hear all about it. So make sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms. And also, if you guys are liking the YouTube content, please give it a thumbs up, comment your predictions down below on this video, and hit the subscription button down below. We are just getting started, guys. The summer is just around the corner, and we've got chock full of content and great guests coming on. And speaking of guests, on my left-hand side, pinch hitting, being an emergency guest right here. And you know what? Responding to the call of the Sideline Sports Podcast. If you guys don't know him, he goes by the name of Rhett Bauer. He is a big-time NBA analyst and big-time fantasy basketball head. He is with Sports Ethos himself. Also, big-time pro when it comes to Indianapolis. He knows all about the basketball scene there. What's going on, Rhett? Of course, always a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Glad we could make this work after some other guests had some life issues going on. I had life issues that made it possible for me to be here, and I'm excited to talk about what a wild roller coaster of a game last night was.
I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg, really. I mean, what a crazy game it was. We didn't know exactly what to expect when going into that first quarter. You saw the Lakers, maybe they had a small lead, and you knew it was going to be a close game throughout the whole entire thing. Third quarter comes around, and then you just see the Lakers get a lead, and then the fourth quarter just kind of goes the way that it goes. And Jordan Poole kind of throwing that Carlton from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air type of shot, hoping that it was going to go in.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was just telling you right before we started, when I saw him put that up, I was like, that is such a bad shot. Like, if there are basketball gods out there, there's no way that that's going in, because not only is there like 10 seconds left on the clock, but Jordan Poole always thinks it's Jordan Poole time, and that just can't be rewarded in that situation. And thankfully, for me at least, I want to see the series go 7, and I feel like the Lakers winning one in Golden State is a surefire way to make that happen. So I was happy to see that not go in.
You know what? He thought it was pool time, but it's not hot enough to jump in and take a dip in the pool just about yet. But I want to get your thoughts on the first game. I mean, he was an absolute monster in the paint. He was just a force to be reckoned with. Steph Curry wasn't exactly himself, but the other Splash brother, Thompson, absolutely stepped it up and was just dominating. How many threes did he make? He made like something like 5, 8.
I think they made, let's see. Yeah, he made 6. Did he make 6?
Sounds about right.
Goodness gracious. Yeah, it's crazy that all 3 Splash brothers, Jordan Poole being like the step Splash brother, they all hit 6 threes, which is crazy because nobody on the Lakers hit 6 threes, because the entire team as a total hit 6 threes. And so the Warriors had 3 players matching the Lakers' entire output from the 3-point line, and the Lakers still ended up pulling it off, which is just absolutely absurd, the difference between the free throws and threes. And it's just going to be fascinating to see that play out the rest of the way.
And you talk about free throws. I mean, I really like the fact that the Lakers are a team that don't allow teams to get to the charity stripe all that much. So, I mean, you saw the game. You saw there was one time when it was inside the mic type of thing with TNT where they listened to both huddles and both coaches said the same thing. hands up. I don't care if you let the guy get by you, hands up, no fouls. We cannot allow any fouls. And I mean, to me, Darvin Ham, you need to be saying it with more reason, just because this is the Golden State Warriors, easily one of the best free throw shooting teams in the league. I mean, that's just a gimme, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think especially for Jared Vanderbilt, because nobody kept up with Curry like he did. I think he did one of the best jobs on him. And obviously you're looking at Steph. He had 27, 6, and 3, which is obviously he's Steph. He's going to do that. But Vanderbilt stuck with him a lot better than a lot of other guys. And he ended up with the 4 fouls because AD and Vanderbilt talked to the refs towards the end of the game. I was like, no, that was definitely on me, which it was. But it was just funny to see the superstar saying, no, that was a foul on me because of how important Vanderbilt was. And so I think it's going to be really important for Vanderbilt to keep defending that way, because if he can keep his hands up and just stay with him through all the off-ball action and kind of hang with him in the pick and roll, but not foul, I think the Lakers have a great chance, because outside of Vanderbilt, I know Schroeder did a pretty okay job on him, but that just takes everybody up a defensive assignment if Vanderbilt can't go. And that's when you start getting D'Angelo Russell on like Jordan Poole or Klay Thompson. And that is where things are going to get a little bit iffy. And not even getting into Troy Brown Jr., who ended up losing Klay on like 2 out of 3 possessions, and Klay was wide open and just couldn't capitalize on it, surprisingly, for how many shots he hit tonight. So yeah, not fouling for the Lakers is going to be huge. And I don't think that Warriors can help themselves but foul, especially with how physical the Lakers are on the inside and going to the basket.
Definitely pretty physical, but I felt like Looney was pretty physical down low with AD. I felt like he got away with a lot of calls there down low in the paint. But I mean, I don't blame the Warriors trying to be physical down low in the paint, because that's just the Lakers game. That's just AD's game, and just being physical down low. Lakers are dominant in the paint, whereas the Warriors, they like to play play smaller role players on the floor, and they like to go for more of the shots, more of the 3-point game. But I wanted to get your opinion on, if you need to defend both Curry and Thompson, other than Vanderbilt being maybe on Thompson or on Curry, who do you think in the Lakers would even have a chance to be able to keep up with them, because of the way they just maneuver through the Lakers defense?
I mean, Reeves has to be one. I'd probably put Schroeder on Curry and Reeves on Klay, just from what I saw last night, especially if they put Curry more at the point and he's running pick and roll. I think Schroeder does a good job there. If he's off ball, then maybe you could get into it depends on the lineup that's out there, obviously. But honestly, I wouldn't be too upset seeing LeBron on Klay. Like I said, depending on who is out there for the Lakers and for the Warriors. But yeah, as long as it's one of Reeves or Schroeder on Klay and Steph, I feel pretty okay. If you have to put LeBron on Klay, I'd rather him there than on Steph or on Poole. So then you can move Reeves and Schroeder to the other 2 smaller guards that are a bit quicker and a bit more dangerous off the bounce. But it's kind of interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a tiny bit of Max Christie, just to see what he can do as a defensive player, because I don't trust Rui out there. Troy Brown Jr. did not do a good job seeing it's one game, obviously, but he didn't do a great job sticking with all that off-ball action. Malik Beasley got a DNP for good reason with this series, and I'm just going to be fascinated to see how the chess pieces move around between Kerr and Ham.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely going to be a big coaching matchup as well, and it's going to be all about coaching to see how are you going to defend some of these big-time players. And you talk about something being so fascinated. What I always find fascinating is a lot of the times I was watching when the Golden State Warriors were on offense, and just the way they run their screens, just to be able to give a tiny bit of space to Curry or to Thompson. And that's enough for them to be able to dish in a 3 and be able to splash it in. And just the way they maneuver through defenses, how they're able to just get away from their defender and be able to find their way in a left wing or a right wing and maybe be able to make a 3. It's just so fascinating to watch these guys get to work, really.
Yeah, no kidding. And it really does take just a half a second for Curry to be able to get his shot off. I think Klay's looked like not super great these playoffs. Obviously, this game was a good one because his shots were falling, but off the dribble, he's been pretty rough, and I don't feel like he's found a super great rhythm. So if the Lakers can keep him off balance just a little bit, that'll really, really help with how much they rely on Steph and Clay and Poole to provide most of their offense. Just knocking Clay down just a little bit would go a long ways, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Okay. One big question that I want to ask you: are you smelling blood in the water right now, man? For the Warriors, like them losing at home, they definitely play much better basketball at home. But are you smelling the blood, or what's going on in your mind?
I can't tell because obviously AD was incredible last night and he's been incredible all playoffs. So I'm not saying that he can't keep that up, but I feel like it's going to be hard for the Lakers to win spotting the Warriors 28 additional threes, like 3-point attempts, like 15 made threes and still winning is pretty ridiculous, even if you do take 23 more free throws. And I just don't feel like that balance is going to be in the Lakers' favor if they keep type of that type of attack down where they're just letting the Warriors, they get their shots up, so it doesn't really matter. But if the Lakers can't hit threes and they just rely on going to the line, if that whistle starts to get tight and the refs don't call very much, then that three advantage gets even more drastic. And so I don't know if there's blood in the water, but I will say you withstood games from Poole and Clay and Looney that were all pretty stinking good, and you still won. So obviously, I think you're probably going to get a Steph supernova game. But what are the chances that that happens in line with the rest of the Warriors players playing pretty all right? Not great. So I think the Lakers, obviously a huge win for game one on the road, but I think their outlook on the series is a lot better than what it was coming into it when you just assume that Golden State is going to take care of business at home.
I can agree with you on that. I definitely think though that AD, as you per usual, he is going to be the biggest player on the floor for the Lakers. I do see him just being the biggest scorer on the Lakers, and I don't know if I could see the Lakers doing it like the Memphis series, how they had a top scorer for every win. It was like a different guy every night, like Reeves
Yeah.
one night, D'Lo one night, LeBron another night. But I see AD being the top scorer just because the Warriors don't have anybody that can really stop them. I mean, Looney's not going to be able to stop them. But that again, that's what makes this matchup so unique. You got a team like the Lakers that are known in attacking in transition or attacking in the paint. Once LeBron's in the paint, you can't really stop him because he's just a train. Do you really stand in front of a train? AD, he's just a force, like I said, a force to be reckoned with in the paint. And the Warriors are such a heavy shooting team that it's just they're not going to make all their shots, but just the way they create their space, the way that they play their game, it's great. If you're someone that's looking to become a shooter in basketball, just watch the way the Warriors play, like the way they set up their screens and the way they just are able to move their guys around. It's just so fascinating. I enjoy it. I genuinely enjoy watching how the Golden State Warriors play their game as far as shooting is concerned.
Yeah, it's such a drastic change in style from these two teams, and I think it would have been too between Golden State and Memphis, or even Sacramento and the Lakers. Like it would just been a clash, regardless of what this matchup would have been. But yeah, I think the only thing that can stop AD is AD. Like if he's not aggressive, then the Lakers probably don't have much of a chance because they need him in a big way to just continue taking advantage of Looney because they just don't have anybody who can guard him. If he floats out on the perimeter, then that's not going to be great either. If he just decides to, kind of tread water, I think that at that point, that's when the Warriors are going to end up taking advantage in this series. And you kind of saw it last night in that 0-14 run that they had in the fourth quarter. It was jump shots. It was jumps, not just from AD, but from the rest of the roster. Like they got out of attacking, and I think it was partially sort of a scramble. Like, hey, they're on a big run. Let me hit this three real quick and try to silence the crowd. And they just kept planking them, and the Warriors kept coming down and taking advantage. So as long as AD stays healthy and aggressive, I actually think the Lakers should win the series. But do you want to hear a crazy stat?
Yeah, fire it at me. Let me hear
All
it.
right. The last time two opponents had 20 plus rebounds in a playoff game, can you take a guess how long ago it was?
I feel like it was like a long time ago. I don't feel like it's recent.
50 years. Wilt,
Oh man,
Wilt Chamberlain and Nate Thurmond in 1973, Warriors Lakers. Last time that it was 20 plus rebounds for an opponent.
wow.
Looney and AD pulled that up, and that is just so. That's what I mean. Like, is it surprising that AD gets 20 rebounds in the playoff game? It's a big number, but he can do that. Is it surprising that Looney gets 20? Yes, yes, it is. So that's what I mean. Like, I have a really hard time looking at Looney being able to keep that up for the series, even though it's way more likely that AD does, and I think that's advantage Lakers, obviously.
Yeah, and you know what? Looney never gave up on a rebound either. Like, even though AD was boxing him out in the paint, he still kept fighting and trying to get an offensive board some way,
Yeah.
somehow. And I appreciate that the fighting spirit that Looney has. He's not giving up, even though he knows AD has the upper hand, and he kept fighting for the boards.
Yeah,
I appreciate
absolutely.
that.
I mean, and it was so fascinating to see what Looney did to Sabonis all series, and then goes up against AD, and AD just got after it on the boards, but Looney held his own. And so who would have thought that one of the bigger matchups in the series would be Kavan Looney versus Anthony Davis, but that's just kind of what it's going to be.
Yeah, I think that's the underrated matchup that people aren't talking about. Everyone's caught up on LeBron Curry, which we did see that matchup a couple of times last night. LeBron would actually jump in and have to defend Curry last night, and I think it worked as a charm. But I mean, that's not ideally the matchup you always want to have in certain situations. I liked the way the Lakers closed out the game with double teaming Curry, and I felt like the reason why Curry didn't have like the 30 plus points and going off. I get it. He still went off offensively was because the Lakers were kind of more double teaming him that night. But I think the big question that I have with the game coming up tomorrow, can the Lakers go up 2-0 and bring it back to LA for Saturday?
I mean, it's going to take the Warriors doing kind of what they did last game, right? It's going to take hitting a ton of shots, taking a ton of threes. And I do feel like Draymond was kind of out of it because of his foul trouble. First off, he should have been tossed because the way he's jawing at the ref during the free throws that he got one tech, he should have just been tossed for keeping that up. But I imagine that we're going to get a bit better of a Wiggins game. Draymond might play a little bit better, but those are kind of the guys you expect to play well. So as long as the Lakers don't let somebody like a Dante DiVincenzo or JaMychal Green step up and hit two more threes and then disappear for the rest of the game, I think the Lakers could end up 2-0.
I think if you just keep it within like the starting five for the Warriors as far as scoring production, they didn't get a whole lot of production from the bench that's not named Jordan Poole. I mean, 20 plus points for Poole, but anybody else on the bench, nobody was spectacular for them. Whereas the Lakers, they've got guys like a Hashimura that can step up, a Schroeder that scored 17 points off of the bench. And I mean, Troy Brown Jr. didn't get the job done defensively, but offensively, he got a three out of it. But I mean, I think the Lakers bench wise definitely look better. And I don't know, I that's tough for the Lakers to go 2-0 there in San Francisco, to go back-to-back games to beat the Warriors. It's possible, absolutely. But I think it's going to be tough just because I do see Steve Kerr making adjustments against the Lakers, and we saw it in the fourth quarter. They went on a massive tear and they came back within a possession. That really had everybody scared. It had everybody terrified. Like, wow, the Warriors just came back like that. When the Lakers, it took them 3 quarters to go up double figures. Like, are you kidding me? That just shows you, hey, Lakers, it's not going to be easy. Like, we're going to come back, baby. We got you right here. We got you.
Yeah, and it's going to be a grind, like you said, because if they're not hitting threes as a team, or like they don't have somebody stepping up. Reeves was the only one. Well, I guess Troy Brown hit one of his 1 threes, but Reeves was the only other one that hit over 33% of his shots from deep. So like, that's just not going to cut it for an entire team. But if I don't know, it's so hard to see because we saw it work against, like we saw the Lakers game plan work and the Warriors had a pretty good game. And they kind of choked that 0-14 run a little bit. And LeBron missed some free throws. And so it's just, there was a lot of things that didn't go the Lakers' way and they still pulled the game out. So I don't know. I don't think I'm going to predict that the Lakers go up 2-0 because it's the Warriors, and I don't like betting against the Warriors when they're at home. But I'm definitely going to be tuned in and watching every second of it because I love watching these two teams play.
That's why I don't even want to ask you who do you think is going to win game 2. I'm just asking what's your prediction? Like, what do you think is going to happen? Just because, man, I personally don't even know either. Just because, yeah, it's game 1 was already fun to watch. Can you imagine what game 2 was? But I'm just going to finish it right here, Rhett. I'm going to finish it with this stat right here. Lakers, what was it? 8, 9 blocks?
Yeah, I believe they actually ended with 10.
There we go.
With 10 blocks. Yep.
With 10 right there. Don't even try it. Warriors got to think twice before going in there against AD. You saw LeBron get some blocks. You even saw Vanderbilt. Like,
yep.
Bust out the Matumbo. No, not in
Yes,
my
sir.
house. You know how it is. You know how it is, guys. But that's going to do it for us here on Sideline Sports Podcast. We thank you all so much for tuning into this one. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what your predictions are for game 2 and for the remainder of the series. And of course, while you're down there, hit the subscribe button down below as well so you guys can stay up to date with everything that's going on Sideline Sports Podcast. Also follow us on our social media handles. We are coming up with content, with videos about the NBA playoffs. If after that concludes, of course, it's going to be baseball season. We've got soccer coverage going to be coming up as well. We've got a lot coming up for you guys. So make sure to follow us on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on all of it, guys. We'll have it down in the description below. And once again, on my left-hand side, that was Rhett Bauer pinch hitting. And as usual, always doing a good job. NBA analyst for Sports Ethos and an expert when it comes to NBA fantasy. And Rhett, as usual, man, had a great time talking some Lakers Warriors semifinals action.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hope we have some positive takeaways from game 2.
We'll see what's in store for tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be fun as well. That's a 6 o'clock tip-off time, but this time around it'll be on ESPN, not on TNT. And 6 o'clock, guys, not 7, 6 o'clock. And once again, I am the host, Alex Naveja from Sideline Sports Podcast via Sideline Sports Media. If you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast. Hasta luego, everybody, and enjoy the NBA playoffs.